जब वही पुलवामा मुहिम के असरात पाकिस्तान अफगानिस्तान क्राइसिस
Consul General of Pakistan, His Excellency Abdul Jabbar Memon, to join me on the stage, please.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن علم القرآن
Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today for a talk with the Consul General on Afghanistan crisis and its implications for Pakistan. And Afghanistani media, we have Mr. Fatah Kamal. I would like to request you to please stand and be recognized. Fatah Kamal Saab is with the Arjana Afghanistan TV. He's the host of the television. He also is a very, very good chef. He's a master chef as well. So if you ever get his number, if you ever want to have catering done, Afghani food, awesome Afghanistani food. He has a very large catering business. So not only he's a TV anchor and a very known person in the Afghani community, he's also an excellent chef. Thank you so much, Fatah Kamal for joining us today. I would like to also recognize the media from the most beautiful city on the earth. I happen to live there, and I'm the commissioner for that city. I have been for the last 3 years the trustee of the board of directors of the public library in Fullerton. So from Fullerton, we have Fullerton Observer. We have Saskia and Jessie Latour. Thank you so much for joining us. Can we see your newspaper if you can show us? This is the newspaper from the great city of Fullerton. Big round of applause for you. I would also like to recognize the presence of many of my brothers and sisters from Afghanistan. So a big round of applause for our friends from Afghanistan that are present here today. Thank you so much. Now, I need your support in the thunderous applause. I'd like to invite my friend Jamal Khoja.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much. Before I go further, let's give a round for Arif Mansoori. Great friend, great mentor, and really a great human being. I'm sure all you guys sitting here do agree with me. This program is all about listening to the current affairs between Pakistan, Afghanistan, and that entire region.
Since last 4 decades, and again it has become a burning issue after taken over by the Taliban government, Taliban in Afghanistan. The situation has been so alarming and has been of a greater interest from a layman to people but belongs to intelligentsia that I have been receiving frantic calls in my office, and they were raising certain concerns and queries, and sometimes that the negative things created by a negative narrative. And I recognize here, acknowledge here my brother Mr. Fateh, who also came to my office and bombarded 10 or 12 questions while sitting in my office. So I think it was the time when I thought that we should need to give clarity of thought to people and give the clarity of perceptions as well as perspectives, So requested Mr. Jamal Khaja, Mr. Waqar Khan, Arif Mansoori and the team, who has always been very active in organizing such events, and in a way they were so gracious enough that they immediately accepted my request, and today we all are sitting here in this hall. My talk or my discourse will definitely be carrying various segments. I believe that what is Afghanistan today or what has happened today is not because of the developments which are taken place in recent past. It is a large history, and the recent quagmire or the recent issues relates to at least the history of 4 decades. So I would like to give a very brief historical perspective, and then will mention certain developments which took place in due course of time of this long period, and then the current situation, and then leave something for the world to think and how to move forward in this situation. And the most important segment of today's event would be that how much keen you are to raise your questions, and it would be my humble request to all of you that please feel free, and whatever you have in your mind, just write down on the piece of paper and send me. I will try my level best to accommodate each and every question. Though being a diplomat, I have certain my limitations, but I will try my level best to be very candid and frank with you and give you a very honest appraisal as what has happened and what relates to Pakistan's role in all this phenomena, and what are the problems for Afghanistan, and no doubt USA, a very, very important stakeholder in this all affair. So I will start from I will try to be very brief because maybe it creates some kind of confusion, but those who have studied history or those who have some kind of know-how understand that after Second World War, we did see the world, was having 2 major ideologies which came into action. USA was promoting to capitalism, and USSR was promoting to communism. These 2 powers as an adversaries were operating in the entire world, and we did see that there was an iron curtain which drawn between, there was a West Europe was being supported by USA, and the East Europe was supported by USSR, and their expansionist policies continued to build their or enhance their sphere of activities in the world. So even the Central Asian states of today, which you all aware of, were the part of USSR. So during this period of time, around late 70s, 79, when Hafizullah Amin was ruling in Afghanistan, and USSR suddenly considered it some kind of a rule by the radicals. So they created some kind of difficulties and problems for him, and ultimately they removed him and changed him with Babrak Karmal. Now it was the time when intentions were very clear for the world that USA became very cautious, that because USSR is trying to increase its influence in this region, and under the expansionist policy they have brought Babrak Karmal, and their intention would be go further. And we as a Pakistani also having this kind of concept in our mind that USSR has a very old desire of going close to the warm waters, so maybe the next would be our turn. Anyhow, when internal unrest began against Babrak Karmal, and it became difficult for Babrak Karmal to contain that agitation or the protest or civil strife against him, USSR ultimately in 1979 invaded Afghanistan. This was one of the most historical event in the history of world, that USSR being driven by its ambitious and superpower status and being the second power in the world, in the bipolar world. The number 1 was the USA. Now it became a challenge for USA and its allies to contain it, to stop it, because if they in a way manage their stronghold there, then it will be difficult to stop their movement further or contain their pace, Pakistan could be no doubt the second target. Pakistan is sharing 2,600 kilometer border with Afghanistan. I think most of you people know very well. On the eastern border, we have India, on the western border, Afghanistan, and this kind of development was happening just across our border with the country. We were sharing 2,600 kilometer border. So it was the time when USA asked us that Pakistan, since is a major stakeholder, because being the immediate neighboring country of Afghanistan, so asked us for support. And we no doubt, in order to save our geostrategic interest and save our, for the survival, we agreed and we supported United States of America as a frontline state. And you all people are witness to it, most of you people are familiar to this, that Mujahideen, when they started operating in Afghanistan, Pakistan was the frontline state supporting United States of America in full length, because we were committed by some bilateral cooperation agreements which we effected with United States of America, C2 and CENTO, PACS 2, if you remember, in 60s and 50s. These were those pacts which were basically defense-related pacts, were meant for support in checking the advancement of communism and USSR in the world. And after some time, these mujahideen, with the support of Pakistan and no doubt with the support of United States of America, saw that the world's biggest power disintegrated, disappeared, vanished, and was defeated, humiliating defeated, and these mujahideen expelled these Russian forces back to USSR. And then we saw that USSR was crumbled, disintegrated, it was broken, and USA became the only power in the world politics, in the international politics, the only superpower. And this was the time when those mujahideen who were expecting some kind of dividends, that the victory they had achieved in Afghanistan, this was the time when Pakistan was expecting that Pakistan would be also enjoying the dividends of this great support which we extended to United States of America. We did see, you might have seen because you were here in United States of America, that there were celebrations going on in Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, nothing happened like that. Neither mujahideen were in a way accommodated, to be streamlined, to be adjusted, to be given some kind of space so that they later on become a responsible citizen of Afghanistan, or in any part of the world they would have been settled. Nor Pakistan was considered the frontline state, but rather you did see that we were considered one of the most sanctioned states in the world. We faced Presler Amendment, and mujahideen were not taken care of. A security vacuum was created in Afghanistan when these people were abandoned. These people felt betrayed. We were also having same sentiments that after this kind of sacrifice by our people, by people in Afghanistan, by mujahideen, and this humiliating defeat for a country like USSR, we were not being really accorded that respect, that recognition which was due or which was considered would be given us. This created a security vacuum. I gave you this background so that you can reach how this 9/11 happened. This was the security vacuum which was left behind or created, unfortunately, by United States of America, by abandoning mujahideen, by leaving this baggage in Afghanistan, by imposing sanctions on Pakistan, which was the frontline state. That security vacuum then later on filled by Taliban. And Taliban, you did see that the government, which they, from 1996 to 2001, and then 9/11 incident took place, and unfortunately, USA then again jumped in and those who were the freedom fighters for them, Mujahideen, they became now the number one terrorists in the shape of Taliban. So this is unfortunate history that the support which we got from them in dismantling USSR, in a very short span of time, they became terrorists and militant, and they started creating problem for the world, and 9/11 incident ultimately took place. Again, we were approached by USA as a very reliable partner, as a very supporting non-NATO member. We provided all logistic supports, we provided all intelligence support in eliminating the Al-Qaeda operators and other non-state actors in Afghanistan. And you again saw that at least United States, those statements reveal it, that they succeeded in Afghanistan in eliminating Al-Qaeda. But the thing was that that's only 10 years struggle through only military might. We have been advising them, requesting them that in Afghanistan, any settlement, any peace and stability relates to through negotiated settlement. Even I quote Imran Khan, our prime minister, he was even not the prime minister. Last 15 years, he has been telling that in Afghanistan, the issue can be resolved only through negotiation. Military might or military muscle power is not the solution. But unfortunately, that was not heard, or that was not given due attention, and United States with its NATO member countries, they resorted to the military option as only option, and the things started going from bad to worse. Now, after this much time, after 20 years, almost 2 decades, it's something really nerve-shaking for even a country like USA, that after spending $2.2 trillion on this adventure, and after sacrificing thousands of their soldiers, and from other NATO member countries, they could not prevail upon Taliban, and they could not have a clear-cut victory. Yes, they could manage in eliminating Al-Qaeda from Afghanistan. So $300 million an expenditure each day could not subdue these Afghan Talibans, which were not having that sophisticated weaponry or that kind of skills, military skills, and in a way, unfortunately, USA could not achieve the desired result which they were expecting this all adventure of 10 years. Now, when we are sharing, as I already mentioned, 2,600 kilometer border, it means that we were working against those militants and against those Al-Qaeda operators, even against Taliban. They became hostile towards us because they were considering that in USA, Pakistan is providing the logistic supports and other intelligence sharing, so they all became enemy of Pakistan as well. Now, everyone among you are familiar. Media is, making these stories and all that. But I always say that whatever the narrative you carry on, whatever the public talk you may have, but common sense, though unfortunately it's not that uncommon. But you can imagine that a country who has sacrificed 80,000 lives, Pakistan is the only country in the world who has suffered the most because of this Afghanistan quagmire, because we were sharing 2,600 kilometer border with them. Losing 80,000 lives, 11,000 of our lives of our brave soldiers, $150 billion instant economic losses to my country. And then when this kind of crisis is going on in your country, that every second day you are taking 80 or 100 coffins on your shoulder in major big cities due to suicide bombing, and then you are expecting that some kind of investment will come in Pakistan, our foreign direct investment dropped to zero. Now you can imagine a country which is in a way issue of youth bulge as well. We have a population of 220 million, in which 60% are young people from 25 years age to 35 years. They needed hope in their country. They needed job opportunities. and they could not survive unless until they are meaningfully and usefully utilized in the economic system of the country. Foreign direct investment was not there. There was no new, entrepreneurship there, no manufacturing activities, no job opportunities, and we did see that our young people really then became, in a way, some kind of law and order and issue for us. So, and then not only this, you have seen in your country of origin that we saw 3 million internally displaced people in Pakistan. Those people who were born there, raised there, they became internally displaced and started living in their camps, refugee camps, until those elements or terrorists and extremists were flushed out by our valiant military forces. So these were those sacrifices which Pakistan has given in this crisis, in this turmoil, unfortunately, which has not been acknowledged by any country in the world. USA, I think even a school-going kid knows what are the damages have been suffered by Pakistan during this war, this crisis. But those have not been acknowledged by any country, including USA, and we were always blamed that we are part of problem rather than solution of the problem. This is very unfortunate, has happened with my country, and as a diplomat, being the member of first line of defense, that's why I requested you that you feel that my talk or my discourse is mostly based on rhetorics. You can raise any question. I will try to give you with full justification that I was saying was right, and what I have responded you will definitely satisfy you. Now, Pakistan being a neighboring country, what could be the peace and stability in Afghanistan for? Pakistan has a geopolitical location. On one side is the eastern border, India, who considers us existential enemy since 1947. Western border with Afghanistan, with them we have cultural connectivity, we have religious overlaps, we have ethnic overlaps, and those people consider that Pakistan is a part of problem because this narrative was so deeply drilled in their mind and Afghan mind that instead of considering that how we could be the part of instability in Afghanistan, because Pakistan's stability or Pakistan's peace and prosperity is directly connected with Afghanistan's peace, prosperity and stability. Our dream, the present government's dream, that from geostrategic political domain to march into geoeconomics domain through regional connectivity, we cannot grow that regional connectivity model until and unless Afghanistan is peaceful. We have always been supporting Afghanistan's, that any setup within Afghanistan should be Afghan-led, Afghan-owned, and by Afghan people. We never ever tried to impose Pakistani regime there or played any role. We always supported there should be negotiated settlement. Military power, or muscle power is not the solution. And whatever the decision for the destiny of Afghanistan lies with Afghanistan, with Afghan people, and there should be any government or any system which should be Afghan owned and Afghan led. But unfortunately, that was not given any heed. Pakistan, now, if just as an example, if there's any border issue between United States of America or a border which we see in San Diego, and what would be the first measures to be required bilaterally by both countries to be taken care of? Definitely, we will immediately think about the border management system. That border should be managed, and illegal infiltration or illegal transport from that be stopped. This would be the first option for bilateral, two governments to take care of bilaterally. We did ask our Afghan government, since even when I was Director General in 2014 and 15, these questions raised, and we asked them that we start bringing some kind of reforms in building the border management. we asked them that let us try to introduce biometric system. Afghan said no. We told them that 20,000 people are every day crossing borders across that border, which is very porous. It's very difficult for any, by the sending government or by the receiving government, to check them that they are the normal people or they are the agents of some, perpetrators. They said no, let it be continued, the same policy of identity cards. They come over there and go back to Afghanistan, and anything happens there, then they should to contrive in a way to create evidences against Pakistan that these people crossed the border, came there, attempted some sabotage activity, and then ran away. Then we talk about erecting a fence. Now, alhamdulillah, 97% fence has been, maybe by now 100%. Afghanistan is strictly opposed against creating of the fence. Now tell me, if a government of Pakistan is trying to reach out to its neighboring country Afghanistan, their government, that let us improve the border management system, and they were not willing to accept our genuine demands, then I don't know, it's a matter of, again, common sense, that problem was lying with them or with us. And if, God forbids, we were having some kind of ill intention to bring instability in Afghanistan, then why would I have offered them this biometric system, this visa regime and erecting of the fences? Because we wanted to see that they may not blame us for any wrong is being done in Afghanistan, and they knew, and the world knew, that we have amply taken care of by securing our border. Yes, I don't want to, but just as a cursory, unfortunately, the narrative which against Pakistan has been created, or the role of a spoiler, has been unfortunately played by India. And they again wanted to create some kind of security vacuum in Afghanistan, so that they can use that vacuum against Pakistan. Millions of dollars have been spent against in the media, through media, to propagate this narrative that Pakistan is part of the problem, and whatever is happening in Afghanistan, if USA is not succeeding in its goals, if there is terrorism and militancy, it's all because of Pakistan. अब now वो कहते हैं ना कि झूठ इतना बोलो कि सच लगने दे, ये प्रोपेगेंडा का एक बड़ा, it's a very popular tool that you start spreading lie as much that people start considering it's a truth. So unfortunately, when Fateh came to my office, he was having a young man with him, and he raised these questions because you have been indoctrinated. I am very clear that my country is suffering because of Pakistan. So who can change it? Until and unless reality really reveals to the people and they understand, no, we were wrong and something else was playing up. But this is the brief I just wanted to mention. In this prevailing scenario in Pakistan, what has not done Pakistan? You are familiar, Taliban took over so rapidly, so swiftly. On 5th of August, they had captured one first state, and then on the 15th of August, they had occupied the Kabul. It was not even being expected by United States of America or any country in any part of the world that this kind of takeover would be so swift, rapid, and quick. But it happened. That created some kind of unrest among the people, because people wanted to leave. The diplomatic units were closed down. Diplomats wanted to leave that country. We have issued more than 7,000 visas from our embassy in Kabul just to help out evacuate the people who were from the international organizations. We issued thousands of visas to Afghan nationals to help them to leave our country safely, and then accommodate them also in our cities like Lahore, Islamabad, before they take off through their own flights to their native countries. But again, it was our moral responsibility. We did it. Our PIA, Pakistan International Airlines, and their pilots, in a way, risked their lives, flew the planes to Afghanistan, Kabul, and bring the people back to Pakistan. And that was the all international support which we were extended, and we are extending until now. Our embassy in Kabul is fully functional, is looking after the all issues of visas and facilitating the exit and evacuate of those people who wants to leave Afghanistan. Pakistan, as I already mentioned, has been supporting, and Pakistan has been suggesting that it would have been an ideal situation really had US government first negotiated with Taliban and Ashraf Ghani government and at some negotiated settlement they would have reached. Then Taliban had taken over, probably problems would have been of lesser magnitude than what we are witnessed. But anyhow, that has been done. They prefer to talk Taliban's in Doha and then with Ashraf Ghani in Afghanistan. The direct conflicting parties were Ashraf Ghani and Afghanistan and the Taliban. They were, and USA was playing the intermediary role. So anyhow, it was their thoughtful strategy. But everybody is saying that it would have been ideal situation had Ashraf Ghani directly spoken to Taliban and reached at some negotiated settlement for transition of power. Probably in Afghanistan issues would have been much of lesser again magnitude, or the emergency steps have been taken by Pakistan or USA or other neighboring countries would have been really conveniently addressed to. Pakistan desires, my Prime Minister, my government has been telling each and every in a corner of the world that Pakistan wants there should be inclusive political settlement. All ethnic groups in Afghanistan be given representation in the new government so that we have a stable government represented by all segments of the society, by all representatives of the ethnic groups, so that a real true stability could be. But it's again the decision of the government of Afghanistan or Taliban government. Their country is in shambles, virtually ruined. They are the worst suffering people in the world. So whatever happens there, any instability, chaos, civil strife will definitely have a serious impact on Afghan people own. And I conclude my discourse with one of the quote of the Afghani girl. She says, with every invasion, be it Russians or Americans or Mujahids or Taliban, each Afghan dies a little. This is the crux of the problem, that we need to worry about those Afghans who it's a proud nation. Afghanis are, a nation of grandeur, magnificence, and we have, unfortunately, the circumstances and time has brought them to this level that the refugees around 5 million in my country, and then it reduced to 3 million, and they were stayed in camps for decades, and still they are living. We have still even 1.8 million refugees in my country. So thank you very much. I open floor for questions, and please feel free and send me the questions. I will start responding.
Thank you so much, Mr. Consul General, for a very eloquent speech and shedding light on the past, present, and future of this crisis. It's been very informative and educational. And we have some questions. So if you have any questions, I can read these for you.
No, मुझे प्लेन में से निकालने दो ना.
Okay, so please pass your questions. The authority on Afghanistan affair, he was the Director General of Afghanistan desk prior to joining the consulate here. He served as the Director General of Afghanistan in the Pakistan Foreign Office. So in this region, he is the world-renowned authority on this subject matter. So we are very fortunate to have him with us today. So Mr. Consul General, if you allow
Yes,
me, I
please.
will start from reading the question. The first question I have is, Pakistan has a clean strategy to stop another influx of refugees or migrants into Pakistan. Pakistan has suffered immensely already.
Fateh, I think it's a question from you, because this question you raised when you visited me in my office. Actually, this is one of the major issues after Taliban takeover, because everybody sitting here or the worldwide, it's a concern that God forbid Taliban fails to manage or fails to govern the country, then there will be an anarchy, civil strife, civil war or crisis. And in that situation, definitely there will be influx of refugees from Afghanistan into Pakistan, as happened in 1990s. I think that answer would be a bit comprehensive, because we wholeheartedly welcome our Afghan brothers. But as I already mentioned during my concluding remarks, that Afghan nation is a proud nation. We should not think about them to leave their country and be a burden on other countries and lead the life in camps, refugee camps. It's not fair with them. It's not fairly done in the past as well. It's very unfortunate that last time situation so arise that we opened our arms and we supported them at all levels, provided them as much comfort as we can. This time we would like that please prevent Afghanistan creating this kind of situation. We request to all international stakeholders, Afghan government, Taliban, even all the local leadership in Afghanistan, please don't create any environment, any situation where these Afghani people leave their country and live in the refugee camps. So it's some kind of appeal to all those stakeholders, prevent Afghanistan from landing up in a situation where their people, their country, leave their country and come into the camps. Secondly, if God forbids, it becomes inevitable. Sometimes inevitability, then it's nobody's hands. Then I would suggest to the international community and international organizations to please devise a plan. Please devise a plan for such scenario, such situation if arises, and create security zones within Afghanistan and create camps for them, secured, controlled by international forces, so that whatever the time they have, unfortunately if they land up in that situation, that could be taken care of within Afghanistan on their own soil, be taken care of by the international community. Whatever the expenditure incur on those setting up of those camps, be taken care of globally by all countries. So this is my response.
What mistake did Pakistan make with Afghanistan?
It's a very general question, and I don't think so that we have committed any mistake. We have rather become the victim of those mistakes which were committed in Afghanistan. So I have already mentioned earlier, don't want to repeat it, but after losing 80,000 lives of our people, losing $150 billion on economic front, and issues of our stability and rule of law in my country because of these crises in last 4 decades, I think these were not the mistakes. Sometimes, things are being imposed upon you, or as I mentioned, that inevitability. We were sharing border of 2,600 kilometers, so how we could say from the spillover or fallout effects if anything is happening in Afghanistan. So that was a natural outcome, unfortunately, but we have not committed any mistake. I reiterated here again that we want to see Afghanistan stable, prosperous, peaceful, with very good neighborly relations, and because we believe that our existence relate to peace in Afghanistan. If there's no peace in Afghanistan, Pakistan cannot live peaceful. Our existence would be in jeopardy.
Thank you so much. Next question is, how do Afghanis see Pakistan relationship after Americans left the country?
That's that's I have briefly mentioned in my opening remarks. That's also a very relevant question. That's also a very relevant questions. We sometimes consider that, as I mentioned, that we have cultural, religious, ethnic overlaps. KPK province is predominantly of Pakhtuns, and majority in Afghanistan is in Pakhtun. We are Muslim country. Afghanistan is a Muslim country. We have same cultural heritage. We share our values in every domain of life. But unfortunately, I really, there are some things which I know personally, but I don't want to reveal here publicly. Unfortunately, even a country like Pakistan, you know that Pakistan has been always dependent, unfortunately, on aid because of bringing the balance of power and our own budgetary provisions, all that. But even then, maybe even my Afghan brothers might not be knowing, Pakistan has given $1 billion support to Afghanistan in building schools, in building roads, in building hospitals.
The question is, do you think that Taliban will protect the basic human rights for women who are breadwinners?
This is very important question, and this is the major concern of everyone, whether as a Pakistani, whether any American or Afghans.
Media no need parchi. You know that.
Okay.
You learn ethics.
So
I guess we need to.
No, sorry. You don't need parchi.
we are about to conclude. So definitely, Taliban, when last time they came, as I mentioned, that they controlled in eliminating corruption during their last regime from 1996 to 2001. And they cleared roads, made the peaceful transport passing through for the commercial activities. But the Taliban also introduced supported punishments in their strict interpretations of Sharia law. They amputated legs and hands. They went for stoning to death, and they did not allow women workers to work. They did not allow girl students to go to school. This was the extreme experience which no doubt a common Afghan has gone through. So this time they also have the same apprehensions. And their apprehensions based on the past experience in a way carry some weight. But you have seen that, what I have been seeing, you people have also been following up the growing situation there, that this time we have found them, because they have learned a lot of lessons and have gained experience in last 10 years. You have seen that they are allowing girls to go their schools. Yes, they are not allowing co-education. They have allowed workers, ladies workers, to go for their work, but properly dressed and whatever the Islamic way they are expecting from them. They are not. They are also trying to protect the minority rights, and they are also trying that whatever their cultural traditions and religious rules, that they adopt those measures within Afghanistan. Now question again comes in the minds of the people, that there's a lot of difference between saying and doing. So I think that if I'm saying something here, giving some kind of commitment, or doing some kind of promises here, at least you people will give me some time, and then see that whether I am standing by my commitments or not, and then you can raise the question. So I think let's give them some time. But problem with us, I mean, now I have also been here for last 6 years, so consider myself more American than Jamal Khaja. So problem is with our mindset. We are expecting that in a country like Afghanistan, where since last 4 decades there has been a turmoil, and the war of survival, their Western kind of democracies enacted in the next day, parliament, they go in the parliament and they see that the women are making speeches, and that also under Taliban. Yes, it should be an ideal situation, I would say. I respect liberties and freedoms and equal rights for women. It's my earnest desire as well as, but give some time to people. Don't expect that this change will come overnight. Give them some time. I'm sorry, I need not to say because my respected member parliament is here, there are other Native Americans are here. It took hundreds of years in America to give those equal rights to women in the United States of America. You are expecting in a country like Afghanistan, under the rule of Taliban, these miracles overnight, but let's hope for the best. I believe that they have learned lessons from their past and they will start behaving and in a better way. They will govern well and they will take care of the woman's right, because it's a fundamental right given in our Islam, in our religion. And if they consider that they are the abiding Muslims of Islamic law, they will definitely grant these powers to them as well.
So this is the question: what lessons Pakistan has learned from the two wars where they fought with Mujahideen and then against Mujahideen? What are we doing to reduce our dependence on the USA? There are two questions. So this is the question, sir.
Achha, this is very tricky question, and I have deliberately taken this from among these questions. Again, I will start with the common sense. Being American citizen or being American national, what do you expect from the government of USA? Every action which they will like to take which serves to their national interest. Anything which clashes to their national interest, they will never take, because that will be the disloyalty with their own country. You people do expect that American government or British government or any NATO member countries go and decide as per national interest. But when the question of Pakistan comes, no, they need to change their policy and do something which serves to their interest and whims and all that. That's not fair. People, it's a very common, understandable question. Question has one linkage. Okay, why you were also with Mujahideen and then why you are with Taliban? When you are under international agreement or when you are under international commitments, we were considering ourselves the reliable partner of USA in war against terror. And post 9/11, we worked with them day night, provided all possible logistic supports to them and intelligence sharing, and whatever we could do, we did. Now, it was the national interest of my country to support its allies or its partners to achieve certain goals and certain targets. So when we were supporting to Mujahideen, it was the need of hour, because we were trying to expel USSR from Afghanistan, because had we not done it, Pakistan would have been the next. So it was serving to our national interest and we did it. As far as Taliban is concerned, it's not our choice, it's not our desire at all. It's the decision of the people of Afghanistan. They have to acknowledge them, recognize them, and give them support. We are just saying it's an academic point that you have applied all means to subdue those Talibans. You used military power, you used money, you used everything. You have not been successful in achieving your targets and goals. Now, being a neighbor country, Americans have withdrawn their forces. No American is now going to die in Afghanistan after some time, after a few days. It's the Pakistan who's sharing 2,600 kilometers border with Afghanistan. If any chaos, anarchy, anything, spillover effect we will be the first victim. So we are supporting, but supporting with principles. We have never told this, that minority not be given rights. We have never supported that Afghan women should not be given rights. We have not supported that it should be the government by few groups. We are supporting inclusive political settlement where all ethnic groups are being given the due share in running of the affairs of the government. So please connect this question I connected this answer response with the national interest, which is supreme for every country and for its people when it serves to their country.
Hello to everyone here. My name is Khaled from Khaled Media. Thank you so much from you guys for having this everyone here event. And my question is very short. I'm sorry. Thank you. Very short. My question. I have a media company. I get a lot of questions and comment under my videos on my YouTube channel and other websites that I control. A lot of Afghan questions that why Pakistan is involving for Afghanistan for everything, like the way you mentioned, sir, before, like when everything happened in Afghanistan, they believe in Pakistan. The reason, let me tell you why. Because in Afghanistan, Kunar province have been attacked by Pakistan army and airstrike. I want to know why. All Afghans want to know why. And also, Fox News been reported that Pakistani military have been attacked Panjshir province like 27 times or something. So I would like to know your answer regarding this question. And also one more thing, all Afghans want to know what was the reason for the Faisal Hamid, I believe his name was, for the ISIS leader. What was the reason for him coming at this situation in Afghanistan? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's a very good question, and every young Afghani's question who is carried away by again, as I already mentioned, by the media's negative narratives, which has been created by investing millions of dollars by Afghanistan, by Indian government. I'm telling very explicitly now that unfortunately India is playing the role of a spoiler. Unfortunately, we have furnished incontrovertible evidences, irrefutable evidences last year in the form of dossier, which could not be even denied by international sources. And India is, there are two questions where we will never compromise. One is Kashmir, which is our national issue. Number two, we say that India is a perpetrator and involved in Pakistan in all terrorism is happening in Pakistan. It's absolutely crystal clear. We will not come back. Now I give you the answer. These are the, one of my anchor and I think parliamentarian, this Amir Liaquat Hussein's photo was published on the social media that he died in Panjshir. His name is Colonel Khaled. Khaled, a man, a common Afghani living in Afghanistan, if sees a photo, fake photo in a uniform, military uniform, blood is spreading on his body, and Mr. Khaled is a colonel of Pakistan army who fought in Panjshir. And let us talk sense. This Taliban, when they started capturing Afghanistan, we are western border and we are the west and south side of Afghanistan. The first captures, the first occupation, the first successful their operations, they succeeded in northern and eastern states, which are bordering with Tajikistan and Iran. If Pakistan was the part of problem, or Pakistan was doing, then they would have loved to bring under subjugation first our provinces which were bordering us. We were not having any access, because we can take the responsibility, the provinces which are bordering to us, we are checking the cross-border infiltration of terrorists across the border, are protecting our border. It's our fundamental right, it's our national right. So this again, I'm repeating again that please try to, I don't want to say Fox News or what are these, this lie is spreading across the world, and unfortunately this global narrative, this narrative has been accepted globally. The moment they say, see the ISI chief in Afghanistan, they start raising questions. Every media is fraught with these so many unique news and mostly fictitious. My dear brother, Afghanistan, since last 4 decades has remained a place where intelligence operations have become the fundamental, action to clear this filth from those areas. So why you expect that any intelligence chief from one country cannot be there? All intelligence chiefs of the countries are operating there. They are going there and not creating, God forbids, any instability or any conspiracy. Again, Afghanistan peace. If our intelligence chief was there, I give you assurance he was there to bring stability, peace and prosperity. see that everything goes smoothly and there shouldn't be any chaos or crisis in Afghanistan.
Thank you so much.
Done?
Thank you so much, Consul General.
I didn't get my answer for Kunar province, I'm sorry. Kunar province is getting attacked as well from the Pakistan. Kunar province in Afghanistan also getting attacked from Pakistan airstrike rocketing. I want to get my answer.
I think that we need not to give any heed to these incredible information which doesn't have any credentials. That if a news item published, why Pakistan would like to strike on any Afghan side until and there's no need. I have seen when I was serving as Director General, I have seen with my own eyes, I physically visited there. There was massive firings from Afghanistan borders by militants and killing our military people for no rhyme and reason. And when we used to protest against that, they always used to say that these were the Pakistanis who infiltrated our borders and took this action and then ran away back. So these are the, baseless, unfounded and unjustified kind of things which we all as a responsible citizens and as a responsible people avoid and rather stop its spirit, because it's not serving to the interest of Afghanistan. It's not serving to the interest of Afghan peace and stability. We should avoid and give clarity to the people's mind that God forbids, at least remove these concerns from your mind that Pakistan is part of the problem. Pakistan, yes, for its protection of national interest, because we are the bordering country, major stakeholders sharing 2,600-kilometer border with Afghanistan, and we will leave no stone unturned in protecting our national interests come what may. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
I live locally, so I will definitely be back with my wife to have some more of the food here at this fantastic restaurant.
I have my colleague here, a journalist from Afghanistan, who's covering the event, by the way, today for his television station, Mr. Fatah Kamal. If you would please say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much, Brother Maimun Saab, General Counsel of Pakistan in the United States in Los Angeles. And great people, great speech. Thank you, sir. And I hope don't leave Afghanistan people alone.
No.
Just Afghanistan people, sir.
No question or
Thank you. Thank you,
Yes,
guys.
thank you.
Thanks for having me. Indeed, it was delicious. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Arif Bhai. Thank you to Maimun Saab, Counsel General of Pakistan, and of course Jamal Khwaja. Another great event. It was absolutely great show. Thank you for having us. Pakistan, Afghanistan is a very sensitive subject to most of us. I work with a lot of Afghan friends. I have a lot of Afghan friends. I work very closely with them. And unfortunately, recently I've seen a lot of mistrust, a lot of misinformation, rightly or wrongly. There are a lot of partners involved in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is not an easy issue, not something that can just be discussed in a couple of hours and it can be done and over with it. I'm sure there have been a lot of questions from Afghan side and Pakistan side. Briefly, I would just like to say, I think as Pakistani, just to my Afghan friends, that we love you. We've always been there for you and we will always be there for you. I would request them to please focus on what brings us together, not what pull us apart. Because we share a lot. We have a lot in common, like Counsel General said. We share the same language. If you go to Pakistan North Frontier province side, we speak Pashto, they speak Kandhari over there. We share the same food, religion, culture. So we have a lot in common. And believe me, there are a lot of people, there are a lot of states in this world that would not like Pakistan and Afghanistan to be together. So we need to be smart about it. We need to make our choices very carefully and not believe in everything that we hear and listen, because there's a lot more than that. Thank you.
So before I invite my next guest, I would like to just very quickly recognize our board of director, Firoz Qasim Saab, big round of applause. And there are two and Shazia Saba from the Pakistan Arts Council. Please say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. A big round of applause to our Consul General who gave an outstanding speech and a very informative lecture. I'd like to extend our courtesy to all of you and let you know that Afghanistan is a very important country, just like any other country. Afghanistan is responsible for inventing tabla, which we use in our Arts Council is very, very proud of all the instruments that were created, invented. So we are very, very cautious about what things are happening in Afghanistan in regards to the singers and the treatment of them. So we like to pray for all the artists in Pakistan and Afghanistan. And with that, I'd like to thank you so much.
Thank you so much.